This is In Step with Compliance, a podcast by the Modern Practice Solutions team for dental professionals.
My name is Olivia Welcome to In Step with Compliance, sponsored by Modern Practice Solutions. In today's episode, we're talking about being prepared ahead of time might just save lives. We appreciate Brenda Thornburg putting together our blog for our newsletter, as well as the content for today's discussion. So the best way to get started is let's start with Brenda. Brenda, can you introduce us to the episode?
Yes, thank you, Olivia. We're going to be talking today about the active shooter scenario. The active shooter scenario has become all too common in the news and in our lives. It's hard to think of ourselves in the dental industry as ever being a part of one of those horrendous events, but we are in fact vulnerable at church, grocery stores, concerts, and yes, even in our workplaces. We've all experienced the wrath of a disgruntled patient. How do we know whether a rude, arrogant patient or family member is going to morph into a dangerous situation? Unfortunately, active shootings in the dental office setting have become a sad part of our reality. 2 dentists were shot and killed in Texas. A Utah woman threatened to kill an entire office due to a rescheduled appointment. Another happened in Tennessee, where a shooter, a school bus driver, shot and killed his wife, who worked at the dental practice. One incident is surely enough to cause concern, but certainly multiple shootings cause us to want to be prepared. And it's important that we remember that this training is required by OSHA, and it should be added to your safety emergency management program.
Thank you, Brenda. I think you emphasize well how this is a concern for the general population and even dental offices where these events have actually unfolded, unfortunately. So, Caitlin, let's focus our attention on your portion of this discussion. What should dental practices prepare for, and how should they train their staff?
When it comes to being prepared for an active shooter situation, we want to remember that we're going to use the run, hide, fight model. And let's review exactly what that means in case of an active shooter situation. So your first option in case of a situation like this is to run, get out of the area. Of course, as with each of these items, we're going to remember patient safety as well. Bring your patient with you and escape the facility if you are able to. The faster you move, the more sporadic you can move, the safer you are likely to be. Now, running is not always going to be an option, depending on the situation. So if that is not an option for you, we are going to hide. Find somewhere secure to take yourself and your patient and attempt to hide from the shooter or the attacker. When you find this area, and of course this room or this place should be predetermined. We want you to think about this ahead of time. Is this going to be a supply closet? Is this going to be the front desk area? Oftentimes in dental offices, we don't have particularly secure rooms outside of maybe a lab or supply closet. So think about where this is going to be. Somewhere with a door with a lock would be ideal. But wherever you choose to hide, we want to make sure we make this room or this area seem unoccupied, close the blinds, turn off the lights, be quiet, silence your cell phone, and try your best to remain secure in this area. If hiding is not an option and you're in a situation where this simply isn't going to work, our very last resort is going to be to fight. Anything you can do to disrupt the shooter will increase you and your patients and your coworkers' chance of survival. I know some dental offices will have designated items they intend to use, for example, wasp spray or pepper spray in place to disrupt a shooter. You can also use basic household items. Throw something at the shooter, throw a stapler, throw a chair. Anything you can do to disrupt them is going to increase, again, your chance of survival.
Thank you, Caitlin, for going over those options very well. And it's all about preparing ahead. So, Terri, with the thought of preparing ahead, what are some things a dentist can put into place?
Well, one thing you want to look at is how are you going to notify not only law enforcement, but other employees that there's a danger. So a panic button or something that will automatically notify law enforcement, an alarm system. One office I'm familiar with had the light system, so the doctor knew where to go. They had a code where if all 4 lights were on and blinking, there was an emergency situation. So think of your plan. How are you going to notify everyone that there's a danger? The other part of your plan should include the recovery process. Obviously, this would be very traumatic if you had to experience an active shooter. So gather a list of resources for the team, for the patient, the facility. Survival will include fear, shock, anxiety, denial, and survivor's remorse, if it comes to that. So prepare a list of mental health services ahead of time that can help your employees, the patients, and the family with the trauma. Recovery firm specialists can provide a cleanup and restorations of the facility if necessary. It is also suggested that you do your research ahead of time and have a contact for this in your active shooter plan. The main goal of this is survival, and the way you can encourage the survival would be the result of training and preparation beforehand. So have a plan of action, train on different scenarios as you would any other office procedure. That's one of the best ways to promote safety in your practice is training and preparation.
Good points, Terri. So it's all about planning ahead. And I've been in offices that are in higher crime metro areas where the door that accesses the clinic is locked. It's secured. So you can't just enter into the lobby of the dental office and go straight to the clinical department. It's locked and has a keypad so that the only authorized persons can open the door to bring a patient back. And I do think this does promote safety, making sure the doors and windows are secure. So it's all about preparation. So we appreciate our trainers coming together in this episode to share their insights. And once again, thank you to Brenda for putting together this blog. We'll see you next time, and thanks for tuning in.